Buongiorno, good morning and welcome to day 2 of my 2-day itinerary. So, number one stop, provided you can get your tickets organised, is at the Accademia, and I'm sure you'll probably know that that is where we see the great man himself, David, that iconic sculpture from Michelangelo, who produced that in 1501. So I'm walking along Via Rugisoli. It's about a 500 metre walk to the Accademia from the Duomo. Please remember to drop me a line in the comments if you have any questions, and as always, thumbs up, subscribe, bell notifications on. I hope you enjoy day 2 of my 2-day itinerary in Florence. One thing to be aware of course, is that the Accademia is closed on a Monday. And that's the building just in front of us. Unfortunately, I think there's a few people who have turned up to try and get in. Now, today I'm very fortunate. One of my colleagues is also a tour leader. So I've landed a free entry in today to show you around. I'm pretty happy because my resident card will also get me free entry into the Santa Croce Basilica later on too. So it's very crowded here. Look, a full price entry is €13. Book ahead. Pre-book a time slot as well. That way you're not waiting for too long. So you can get in and enjoy looking at Michelangelo's David and some of the other fantastic artwork within.
Rough draft. We know it's a rough draft also simply because of the texture. If you were to put this
Okay, so here I am in the hallway of prisoners.
look at the scale, so you look at the tension in the body as well.
Sculptured from one massive block of white marble, David stands at over 5 metres tall. David is portrayed before battle, pensive but poised, and David was intended to be placed high on the Duomo. Instead, as soon as Michelangelo finished his outstanding work, David was placed outside the Palazzo Vecchio in 1504 and stood there until 1873. In that year, David was moved indoors to the Accademia. And how did Michelangelo create David from this huge block of marble? Quite simply with a hammer and chisel. Hey, so what do you think, everyone? Those of you sitting at home, what did you think of that great sculpture? Is it truly the best artwork in the world? I'd appreciate your comments and some feedback too. The second stop on day 2 is to the Mercato Centrale, the central market. It's a 500 metre walk from the Accademia. I'm about to turn right and we're heading into a part of Florence called San Lorenzo, about 100 metres along. Through the leather market is the Mercato Centrale, where you can stop for a bite to eat and something to drink. And this large building here is the Mercato Centrale, that is open every day of the week. Upstairs, a food hall which is open from 9 until midnight, Monday to Sunday. Downstairs, fresh produce, only open from about 9 till 2 p.m, but closed on a Sunday. So the entrance downstairs we can just see right here. So this is my suggestion: after the hour and a half or so that you spend at the Accademia, you then come here. Depending on the type of year, you might want a cold drink, or perhaps winter, hot drink. There's lots of choice, lots of options. I'm sure you'll find something that you'll enjoy consuming. This place, they do a lot of meats like this. It looks good, doesn't it? Buongiorno. So what do you think? What do you think? It's a good place to visit, have a look around. Biscotti there, the cookies, love them with a cup of tea. And we've got some fresh fruit section up here. Personally, I think the fruit and veg at another market, San Ambrogio market, is better quality and more variety and volume. This little pasta place here I do come to and get some fresh pasta. We can see it being made out the back. It's very nice indeed. You can see they're making it down there. Or you just buy a bowl just around the corner here. You can see people ripping in. Order there. Pretty cheap prices, by the way. Very cheap. There we go. Put your order in. Freshly made today. How good's that? So the Mercato Centrale fresh food market downstairs. It's open from about 9 until 2 p.m. but closed on a Sunday. Upstairs, however, you get some food all day up until midnight. It's sort of like a takeaway type of food, but relatively cheap. So that's an option as well. Any time of the day, the Central Market upstairs for a bit of a snack. Hey, let's go and have a look. So welcome to the second floor of Mercato Centrale, and you can see it's lunchtime here. It's quite busy. Quite a few options. Your meats. But I know you've got your vegetariano over there. There's a bar, beer on tap, wine on bottle too. It's busy, isn't it? Fritto. So we've got some fried foods. We've got hamburgers, seafood a bit further up. And lots of people. And there is even a kitchen studio, I guess I'd call it, where you can have some cooking lessons. Roast dinner. And on this side we've got some pastries, dolce desserts, pizza, another bar, and as you can see it's very, very popular, isn't it? So there's Mercato Centrale, second floor, food, and this is open until midnight every day of the week. And here's the entrance to the leather market. Now, I've completed just recently an episode on leather in Florence, where to go, what to buy. So have a look at that for a bit more of an in-depth look at the leather scene in Florence. But as I said in that episode, I wouldn't buy in here personally. But let's have a look anyway. Okay, with regard to shopping here in the San Lorenzo leather market, don't be afraid to ask for a price, but you must haggle, and I would suggest knocking 2/3 to 3/4 off the price. So if they say 400 for an item, which would be ridiculous, your ballpark would be 100. Okay? Be confident, be respectful, and see what you come up with. But don't accept their initial price, it's ridiculous. Leather in Florence, where to go, where to buy. My suggestion is you go to the Leather School of Florence, which is just behind the Basilica of Santa Croce, and we're visiting that in the 2-day schedule. So by all means have a look around here, but if you want to be guaranteed that you have 100% Italian made leather, the Leather School of Florence is my tip, and we'll drop in there after looking at the Basilica of Santa Croce. The Basilica of San Lorenzo is behind me there. It is beautiful inside, and at €9 an entry ticket, it's well worth a visit, and I think you can fit it in. This and Medici Chapel. This basilica is one of the most significant Renaissance churches in Florence. It was, after all, the parish church for the Medici family, and the story of its construction coincides with the rise of the Medici family. And the interior of the church is truly beautiful. The San Lorenzo church that you see before you was rebuilt by Brunelleschi in 1419. Don't judge a book by its cover, and this is our next stop on the itinerary of day 2, the Medici Chapel. Old looking building, it looks a bit run down, doesn't it? But don't be deceived, it is absolutely fantastic inside, and I think it's well worth you having a look at. The entrance to the Medici Chapel is just here, and it's about €8 or €9 to get in. There we go. Have a look at this footage. The Medici Chapels honour the Medici family. The Medici family spent their wealth on culturally enhancing Florence. The Medici supported art and culture. Cosimo, for example, supported big names like Donatello, Angelico and Brunelleschi, and later Lorenzo supported names like Da Vinci, Botticelli and Michelangelo. The Medici Chapels consist of 3 rooms: the crypt behind the entrance hall, the new sacristy and the Chapel of the Princes. And it is in the new sacristy where you will find the 2 tombs of the Medici with sculptures from Michelangelo. Now from the Basilica of San Lorenzo, we've got our longest walk for today across to the Basilica of Santa Croce and the Piazza of Santa Croce. It's about 800 metres from here. Just out of interest, look at the length of the line for the free entry into the Duomo today. Okay, that's the free entry line. It snakes off into the distance. That's massive, isn't it? Now, where am I heading with this? The importance of pre-booking an entry, and that's the advantage of doing a tour. Your line, if you do a tour, is 40 metres long, as you can see. But this free entry line is still going. Mamma mia. And as I turn to the left, there's the Basilica of Santa Croce. So the Basilica of Santa Croce, the resting place of Michelangelo himself and Galileo Galilei, and I've got a beautiful big statue of Dante, who had been banished from Florence in the very early 1300s. After banishment, he never returned, but after his death, he was reinstated as one of the Florentino Renaissance greats. And his works are still today very intensely studied in the Italian educational system. Dante. So the entrance to the Basilica of Santa Croce is just here. Now the ticket, there it is there, is €8 to go in and have a look around, and it's well worth it, it truly is. Now the advantage of me personally, being a Florentine resident now, is it cost me nothing, so I'm pretty happy about that. Hat off, of course, going inside, and let's check it out, shall we? It is beautiful inside. The Basilica of Santa Croce building began in 1294 and finished in 1442. It's sometimes referred to as the Pantheon of Florence, and it's a gem not to be missed. Beautiful and impressive, stunning art and courtyards. Here we see the tombs of many Renaissance greats. Niccolò Machiavelli, the father of philosophy. His work is based on the reality of leadership at that time, that certain principles are sacrificed in order to be successful. One of his famous quotes, "It is better to be feared than loved." So he was quite polarising. Dante, the father of Italian literature and Italian language, best known for his Divine Comedy. Great writers did not have to use Latin, so he was a pioneer by writing in the vernacular, the local language. Galileo, fundamental contributions to astronomy, physics, mathematics and science. So really the father of modern science. Built the telescope among his many contributions and challenged the church, which did put him under house arrest for his last few years. Of note, the church made official statements of regret much later in the 20th century. And Michelangelo, 1475 to 1564, 89 years of age, painter, architect, sculptor, poet, a Renaissance genius. And he was often called Il Divino, the Divine One. And just behind the Basilica of Santa Croce is the Leather School of Florence, Scuola del Cuoio. This is worth a visit, and if you're wanting to buy some leather, genuine leather items, this is the place to come to, and not the leather markets. Now, I've been here a few times now, and as soon as I walk through that arch, listen to that. It's just so peaceful. The stonework of the church, it's beautiful. Always delivers. And if you keep walking along, you come to the entrance to the School of Leather. They've got a working workshop, and you can also buy items there too. Importantly, they have a online store. So the entrance is through here. It's a very rustic courtyard, and the building is a part of the Santa Croce Basilica, given to the Franciscan monks, this building, by the Medici family in 1455. And the entrance to the leather school, workshop and showroom are up those stairs there. Check it out. And look at the workshop here. You can get your initials sort of like branded onto the leather in gold leaf lettering.
We can take it with us.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, we can take it with us.
Yeah. The shipping is free of charge.
Oh, it's for your charge.
Okay, now as you wander around Florence, you might see one of these little windows, and there's about 150 to 160 that you'll find throughout Florence. And there are about 4 or 5 working wine windows. So the wine windows were introduced in the mid-16th century, mainly to allow the nobility to sell their wine, their leftover wine, to someone outside their dwelling without meeting face to face. I mean, the plague was still around, of course, so it was social distancing right back then. Now we have a working wine window just here at the Belladonna, Osteria Belladonna. So you can order a drink there through the window, and they'll pass one out to you. It's a nice restaurant too there, by the way, the Belladonna Inn, Via de Belladonna. Hey, check out this footage. And it's a lovely little restaurant, little laneway, as you can see, and there's a wine window. I'll tell you a little bit about the history of that. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It is happening. I'm just going to pass the camera over.
We missed it. You missed it.
Grazie.
Thanks.
So this laneway runs parallel with the Arno River. It's just a lovely rustic laneway to take, and this will take us to San Nicolo and then through the gate in the old defensive wall. The last remaining remnants of the defensive wall that used to surround Florence in its entirety, about 8 kilometres in circumference. And it's easy to know that you're on the correct path. You've just got to follow all the people. They're all heading up to Piazalle Michelangelo to see the sunset over Florence. Now you can continue to walk along the river until you get to the Piazza Giuseppe Poggi, and you can climb up to the lookout from there. Now this area, San Nicolo, is a possibility for a meal, and here's the wall with the gate we're going to walk through, and then we start heading uphill. It's quite steep. It'll get the heart rate up a little bit, that's for sure. And it's going to be big crowds up there tonight, isn't it? Look at the people streaming up. Wow, it's the busiest I've seen it actually. As the sun slowly disappears behind Ponte Vecchio, indicating the end of day 2, I hope you've had a wonderful experience here in Florence. And of course, send me a comment if you have any questions or feedback. What particular site did you really enjoy? And as always, thumbs up, subscribe, bell notifications on. I'll see you next episode. Ciao.